Okay, so a lot of you may have heard that NVIDIA, the semiconductor player and chip maker, are looking to acquire the British chip maker ARM in a deal worth approximately $54 billion. Now, this has a lot of different companies and regulators worried from an antitrust and competition perspective, as these are two mega companies combining to create a juggernaut. Now, one person who's particularly stood up is Elon Musk, who cited quite a few concerns. And from this perspective, you can see three key reasons why Elon would not be happy to back this deal. I mean, obviously, the first is Tesla and Elon are heavily invested in driving autonomous tech. And NVIDIA also have an autonomous arm, and Tesla naturally wouldn't want a competitor to go and acquire such a massive company in ARM and therefore expand and grow and become a stronger competitor. So that's the first kind of obvious point. Now, the second one is that Tesla is actually a big ARM customer. They buy a lot of their chips from ARM, and they're worried that if NVIDIA acquire ARM, that would mean that Elon and Tesla would have to buy their chips from a competitor. So you can see why that's not something that Elon Musk is too keen on. Now, the third and probably the most important one is customer neutrality. So we've known that up to now, ARM sells these licenses to various chip makers, including Qualcomm, you've got Samsung, Apple, Tesla. Now, the concern is that post-merger, NVIDIA could affect this customer neutrality and force or change the relationships they have with their partners. And so you've got this to and fro in where Elon is concerned that if NVIDIA acquire ARM, he could prevent these licenses from being bought, or he can increase prices, he can create a lack of neutrality and have a favor or an exclusive arrangement with Samsung or Qualcomm, and that could cause big problems for Elon and Tesla. Now, this deal isn't anywhere near being approved just yet. NVIDIA needs approval from, firstly, the US regulator. They would then need approval from the UK regulator and China, as well as the European Commission. So they got four big players to get some regulation from. Now, we know early this month, the UK's Competitions and Markets Authority, which is known as the CMA, have said they have serious concerns about NVIDIA's plan and called for an in-depth investigation into the transaction. Now, you've got a bunch of different players who are quite positive about this deal. So we know that, and by the way, ARM is owned by Japan's SoftBank Group, which is a massive conglomerate in itself. And we know that the likes of Google and Microsoft has said they're not too keen on this transaction. But then you've got the likes of Broadcom, MediaTek, and Marvell, who NVIDIA has got the support from on this deal, backing this deal. So it says NVIDIA is unlikely to offer concessions during this period, the sources said, which will then prompt a 90 working day full-scale EU investigation. So NVIDIA is not backing down. They want to go ahead and have this deal, and they're going to go through the full regulation process with, like I said, the EU European Commission, the US antitrust, China, and then the CMA here in the UK. So there you go, guys. That's the update on why Elon Musk is not too positive about this massive acquisition. I mean, you can see from an antitrust perspective, this is exactly why these antitrust regulatory bodies are in place, because we've seen this time and time before, but these massive conglomerates, multi-billion-dollar market cap companies combining to create even bigger companies, it's not good for competition. It's not good for ultimately the end customers who are buying these products, because pricing can just be controlled in a manner where it's going to head one way. So yeah, Tesla focused on three different things. One, they don't want somebody who's in the autonomous space to be making such a big acquisition and potentially competing with them even better and winning. They're worried that as they're a customer of ARM, they don't want that relationship to change, and they definitely don't want to be purchasing chips from a competitor in NVIDIA who's got autonomous capabilities, because that just doesn't make sense for Tesla. And perhaps they will then have to explore creating their own chips and building their own, which we've kind of heard about. And finally, the customer neutrality point, which is where we know ARM has been a neutral licensing. They license the key intellectual property, the key IP, to Qualcomm, to Samsung, to Tesla, to Apple. Will that relationship change post a merger? These are all the concerns going through not only Tesla's mind and Elon Musk's mind, but Microsoft, Google, Samsung will be concerned about this, Qualcomm as well. So we'll see how this plays out and if NVIDIA managed to clear this through the antitrust regulatory bodies. There you go, guys. I'll see you in the next one.